is Jeff Stone of Grandpa's Pride Barbecue from the Panhandle of Florida, and you are listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Hey, greetings and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things important to the world of barbecue and grilling. The show originates from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast, a.k.a. Bomb City, USA. I'm your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening's live fire fun and frivolity show. If you want to jump in on the show tonight, here's how you do that.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at bbqcentralshow.com or on the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you get the newsletter. Coming up in about 13 minutes from now, she was on towards the end of last year for the first time. What I call the official or officially unofficial legal counsel as it relates to trademarks and copyrights for the Barbecue Central Show. The founder and CEO and creator of the Moskowitz firm, Suzann Moskowitz, will rejoin us. Last time we talked heavy on the trademark stuff, I had revealed to all of you that the first part of 2021, actually it was the end of 2020, literally days, as it was literally rapidly coming to it. Literally rapidly? It was rapidly coming to a close, 2020. And I got in before the trademark price increase that was like $650 or whatever it was. And then all through last year, waiting for holdouts, waiting for approvals, waiting for hurdles to get cleared, and we got there. I just don't have that official paperwork yet, but according to Suzann, all T's and I's have been summarily dotted and or crossed, and we're good to go there. But we talked a lot about trademarking and what does it mean and how does it protect you and why would you want to look into trademarking and associated costs, things like this. But there's another side that I had mentioned that she covers as well, that being copyright. So this time around, we'll go copyright heavy. So if you have questions about copyrights, if you've ever been in trouble because you have infringed on somebody's copyright or you've been sent a nasty grab saying, hey, you used my picture without asking me even, take it down or I'll sue you, cease and desist. If you have a podcast like I do, should we be copywriting every single episode? We're going to get into all of that stuff from a legalese standpoint. And you will be further educated via a Stanford graduate. Is Cornell in there too? She's got quite the academic background. Suzann Moskowitz will be first up this evening. Then we will go to 35 past the first hour. And the fourth Tuesday of the month in the first hour is what? Derrick Riches. That's right. I waited. Somebody said it. I heard you in the peanut gallery. So Derrick will join us for his monthly segment. We missed him last month at the close of the year, so we'll get a quick recap on how the end of the year treated him, and then we'll get heavy into the Weber Grill talk. We had the new grill master from Weber Grills, Dustin Green, on last week to talk about their side of it. We'll get Derrick's take and his side of it from a journalistic standpoint. We'll also talk about thermostatically controlled grills, things of this nature. So very much looking forward to talking with Derrick and getting his take on all of that. And then second hour, of course, on the fourth Tuesday of the month, brings the visit from the three gents from Utah, Michigan, and Texas, the Embedded Correspondents segment. Yes. We have a fresh batch of 100% Assurity Picks that we'll get through. So if you want to join me on Clubhouse like we have over the last couple months and take part in that portion of the show with us, more than happy to have you doing that, but you have to be on Clubhouse in order to do that. So go ahead and download it on your phone or Club Deck on your computer if you want, and then find the show, take part, and we'll get into all of that here in a few minutes. Don't forget you can follow me socially, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and the Snappers at BBQ Central Show. For live video feed, you can go to Facebook and Twitch/BBQ Central Show, also on YouTube/RD Rempe. And as I just mentioned, for an audio version of this only with no video, which I highly encourage, you can download the Clubhouse app and check us out there as well. So let's start here tonight. You know, Weber dominated the comments over the course of the week, stemming from Dustin Green's visit and then from what happened later last week. I will get into Dustin's comments that sent a lot of you over the edge immediately after he said it. I actually have the soundbite that sent you over the edge. So if you were teetering, be wary of what's happening top of the second, because I might send you over that edge by playing it again. But many of you were heightened enough to send me comments, and I'll get to those in the top of the second hour. But I have to get to the event that took over the entire live fire news cycle for at least 48 hours at the close of last week. And I could not believe that it did. I'm not sure if you're aware or not, but the singer Meatloaf passed away last Thursday. Well, prior to most folks learning of his ultimate demise, Weber, which was Thursday, Weber on Friday morning, early Friday morning, sent out an email blast or newsletter blast or whatever it is. This is something that you probably have to subscribe to in order to get it. I didn't get it personally, so I would imagine you would have to put an email address somewhere, and then you get these great recipes that Weber deems to share out through their signups. And it detailed out a recipe for grilled meatloaf. Now, many of you are like me, wondering what the big deal is, right? Grilled meatloaf, Meatloaf the singer dies. How are these two things related? And how does this make any news at all? I'll tell you how it makes news. Weber thinks the recipe they sent might offend someone who now has both the meatloaf recipe and has also just learned of the death of the singer Meatloaf. To get ahead of that, they blast out an apology newsletter following up that recipe email from earlier in the day, apologizing for the grilled meatloaf recipe. And a portion of that reads, quote, "At the time we shared this recipe with you, we were not aware of the unfortunate passing of American singer and actor Mr. Marvin Lee Aday, also known as Meatloaf. We want to express our deepest apologies for this oversight and for any offense this email may have caused," close quote. Now, look, I'm not a PR expert here, but I'm telling you right now, this would have not been a blip on the radar had Weber just stayed down. Had they not sent the follow-up email telling people how to connect the dots to then become offended, none of this would have ever happened. However, the apology is sent, people see it everywhere, and the next day you see Google alerts, if you use Google alerts for things like barbecue or BBQ or grilling, popping like crazy, with news outlets across the country reporting how Weber had to make an apology for sending out their meatloaf recipe because someone named Meatloaf had life happen to him. Weber, next time, call your boy and let me counsel you. Yes, some things require an apology, like when you go out of your way to be an offensive human, or you're insulting someone or a group of people specifically. You know, like when Meathead said women don't know how to operate gas grills. That's offensive. Just kidding, Meathead. This was not that. This was coincidence that you sent out a delicious recipe, and a little later, a guy who had 2 hit songs that sucked, by the way, back in the 70s, died. And his name wasn't really even Meatloaf. So no apology needed. However, I did have a quick huddle with my guy, Sean Walchef, Digital Hospitality, and the host of the Restaurant Influencers podcast. And he told me, this is exactly why you don't schedule your social media in advance. You don't use the automation. Seems easy, seems efficient, seems like best practice at that time. And then you run into something like this. So if we've learned anything over these last few moments, it's doing your social posting in real time so you can avoid these things from happening in the future. But even still, you send something out in the morning in real time, someone dies later that night. Is that still an issue? In this instance, again, coincidence. And that's it. Keep moving. Don't need to apologize. Right, Suzann Moskowitz is in the green room. She's ready to go. And before we get to her, I will talk to you quickly about Yoder Smokers, designing and building their products right here in the States and building pride through craftsmanship. Their world-class customer service is the backbone of how they've built the company. This approach translates into what can be a truly bespoke style product that elevates gatherings with friends and family. They're honored to have a trusted place in the backyards of America. From pellet grills to wood-fired offsets and charcoal grills, consistent blue ribbon flavor has become synonymous with the Yoder Smokers name. Make no mistake, Yoder Smokers' flavor-driven design is unique to each style of pit, and their team has developed their cookers to perform time and time again while outlasting the competition for generations to come. It's this generational thought that's rooted in their handmade products and defines the integrity of the core values. American-made quality and endless flavor. The benchmarks of Yoder Smokers. Visit yodersmokers.com to grab yours today. In fact, I counseled my friend at the Howard Stern Show, Jason Kaplan, to look at a Yoder. He's in the market. I said, Jason, you need to get over to yodersmokers.com and check out that Y640. It's great. 480's good. 640, a little bigger, better, especially in the barbecue world. We'll see what happens with that. But you should be checking out Yoder Smokers as well. We'll talk a little copyright coming up out of the break. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by the Barbecue Guru, creators of automatic pit temperature control technology, sellers of ceramic cookers with built-in power draft fans, and accessories to make your barbecue and grilling life easier. Visit bbqguru.com for more information or call them 800-288-GURU. Barbecue Guru continuing to be a breakthrough in barbecue technology. My first guest tonight is helping individuals and companies protect what they have worked so hard to create through the use of trademarks and copyrights, licensing, and a few other services. She was on the show for the first time at the end of the year, and it was to rave reviews. In fact, a few of you touched base with her to help you protect some things that you have going on as well. So that's a good thing. Last time we talked, it was about trademarks, as I had mentioned in the open, but this time we'll get hot and heavy on copyright stuff. So we race to the hotline and welcome back the owner of the Moskowitz firm, Suzann Moskowitz. Hey, Suzann.
Hey, Greg. How are you?
I am fine and appreciate you making time for the show and coming back on here as we are fleeting through 2022 here as end of January hits us. Before we get going this evening, can we get a brief refresher on what trademark is and then what copyright is, and then we'll dive into the copyright?
Absolutely. And I will try not to be too academic. I also have to always start with my CYA. As you know, Greg, I'm a lawyer, but this is not legal advice without an actual engagement. So I'm providing this for informational purposes only.
That's
so
right. Entertainment. We love it.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to entertain you with some musings on protecting intellectual property. So last time we talked a lot about trademarks. We talked generally too. And we got into how it could be for a brand, which could be articulated as the words, like the words Barbecue Central, or it could be a logo, like the logo for your show. Now, Greg knows that I have a special something I'm holding in this envelope that I've held hostage a bit. I thought I'd see him in person, and I haven't had the chance to yet. And that is actually a registered. It's okay if I show it? You don't mind?
Yes, please.
It's all public record. I mean, I could show it even without you asking. Ta-da!
Look at that.
Is a registration certificate for the Barbecue Central show. What a coincidence
Man,
that I happen
great
to
timing.
handle this.
No doubt.
And as you'll see, and this is actually going to be pertinent to our conversations here, this is a logo. Logos look artistic, but are they artistic enough to be eligible for copyright protection as a work of art? I'll get to that. But for now, this is a brand, and it designates it a source, and the source being this wonderful show and its associated entertainment services and downloadables and things like that. So that's a brand. Then there's the concept of copyrights. Copyrights are for works of authorship, and that could be lots of things. It could be a photograph, it could be software code, it could be a full book, it could be a painting. And we talk about copyright a lot with brand owners because they're thinking about things like their packaging and their website design and using photos and getting permissions and all that.
Suzann? It's like I see you, but I don't see you. Don't worry. I know she's coming back. I can feel it. There was a pause. And then got a nice look at maybe a wood floor. Is that what that is? Wood floor? She's coming right back. Don't even worry. I know everybody's in. Like, oh, I'm writing down the number. By the way, before she jumps back on so I can give it to you, I forgot to give it to you at the top. The website is Keep TM, Tango, Mike, TM, like trademark, keeptm.com. That's the quickest way to get to her website. If you like all the other big words, the MoskowitzFirm.com is also the website. Keeptm.com will actually redirect you to the MoskowitzFirm.com, but that's the easy way to get there. So visit that while we're talking. And she's back. Hello, welcome back.
Yeah, so I heard myself talking, and it seemed a little odd, and I wasn't sure if you heard me. So
I saw the shot of a floor,
live,
though, I think.
Live TV, guys.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, so we good?
We're good.
We heard a little bit about the difference between a copyright and a trademark, and I wanted to show you a little bit about what it takes to be artistic enough to be copyrightable.
All right.
It's really easy if we're talking about a photograph, if we're talking about a full book. Then we get into some kind of ambiguous things like, is this artistic enough? Is it?
I paid money for it.
Well, that I'm so glad you
can believe
that.
it.
In it, and even something that you paid money for that was hand drawn, isn't standard fonts, this would be rejected.
Oh no!
Most likely.
All right.
As a copyright because it's not artistic enough. So then let's look at some other examples, shall we? I brought some visual aids. Okay, so I got some chips here. Okay, so Lay's has a logo. You see it. It's got some colors and some shapes. Would a logo that has some colors and some shapes be enough to be artistic enough to be a work of art, to be a copyright? Answer, maybe, because it's got colors and shapes, but they're kind of standard colors and shapes. It's not that creative, believe it or not. But what if we talk about the whole package of this bag? We've got, whether they're probably photos, probably not drawings, of chips and sauces and all these kind of things. You put this all together, my friends,
yes,
and you could get a copyright protection for this whole package. Does that mean that you could keep another chip maker from having a bag this shape and size that has a picture of chips and possibly a picture of the sauce or seasoning? That is an interesting question we can talk about. How close does something have to be infringing?
Because you could have a picture of sauce, but not that sauce. You could have a picture of chips, but not those chips. And you could have a different color of that gray, and like
Oh,
all things
yeah.
to skirt around, right?
Yeah, and so you see this
Oh,
kind of thing
dear.
all the time. Things that like, hey, doesn't that kind of look, especially when you get into like, packages of artificial sweetener and they all kind of look the same,
Yeah.
So there's this standard of, what is infringing, and we can get into that in more detail. But just to continue my example of the spectrum here from your logo, which I would say is great as a brand, it's a trademark, but is it a work of art? According to the Copyright Office, probably not. But here's something.
Ah,
Look
my
at this
favorite hot
lovely
sauce.
look at this lovely lady.
Yes, Cholula.
She is art. And so maybe the word Cholula is not art, but she, when put together with the package, is clearly art. She is good enough. So there's your brief overview about what is good enough to be a copyright. Although certainly a photo, a whole book, a whole set of code, all that easily is copyrightable.
Now, we could call you and say, hey, Suzann, I have this logo. I heard you on the Barbecue Central show. I'm on the fence, but I'm willing to risk it. And then you would just, take whatever associated fees and then
Sure.
submit it
So
and
here's
see
the
what
nice-
happens.
Well, first of all, I try not to file things that I think are dead in the water. I try to give, an honest assessment. But the nice thing about a copyright application is it's a lot less expensive than a trademark. A trademark will for filing government fees starts you at $250. Some copyrights can be as low as $45. Typical copyright I file, the government fee is $65. And then you wait, and the examination is not as complicated as trademark examination. They're not literally going and looking with trademarks, they're looking for other trademarks that are like yours. With copyright, they're really just looking that you check the boxes. But here's the thing, folks. If you do a copyright application quickly and with errors, and then you want to use that copyright application to say, hey, somebody copied my photograph. Well, the first thing the lawyer on the other side, who could be me, is going to do is look up that application and see if there were errors in it. Because if there were errors in it, it may not be valid.
Oh.
Yeah. But it's a pretty simple process. Just like trademarks, you don't have to hire a lawyer, but it can be helpful.
No doubt. So talking about trademarks, we did a lot of talking about trademarking stuff last time you were on. So in the world of copyrights, the thing that I see or a scenario I would like to paint for you is this. I am going to make a post on Instagram about a cheeseburger. So I go to Google Images. I search cheeseburger. I find one that's very attractive to me. I download it, put it in my Instagram feed, write a witty post, and ultimately I get 500,000 likes. But within the post, nary a mention of this picture, where I got it, any credit, nothing. In how many ways am I being a wrong human?
Well, let's start with the baseline here is if you're taking a picture that you don't have permission to take, you're technically an infringer. But rest assured, there are many exceptions, although I'm not going to tell you to rely on these exceptions because it's all gray area. So this is all the idea of, is this fair use? And so somebody like Greg would call me and say, this is what I want to do. I want to use this picture. Is it safe? I'm never going to say it's safe. Let me start by saying I'm never going to say it's safe unless you took the picture. Even if somebody that works for you took the picture, unless they're your employee doing it in the scope of work, if they're a contractor and you don't have a written agreement, even if it seemed implicit from the arrangement that they were taking the picture for you, doesn't matter. You need to have that official transfer of ownership to you for it to not be infringement. So again, you're an infringer. Let's start with that. Now can we find an exception? So lots of myths out there about what the exceptions are. One is that if you only use a little bit of something, or like if it's an audio clip, you only use 5 seconds or 30 seconds, or if it's a song, you only use, just the part of the beat. None of those things are really true. Also, you are here entertaining and educating people. That is a notable thing. You also have advertisers, and that puts you into the class of commercial use. Now, it's not a binary, commercial or non-commercial. It's kind of how commercial are you? This is not this, you putting it on your site is not the same as Traeger putting it on their site.
Yeah.
Because you are in the business of, you are still doing something that has some public benefit. Another myth is, you mentioned the thing about not giving credit. It's nice to give credit. It's certainly the right thing to do, but credit is not going to get you out of infringement. Now, credit is probably going to be something that if you actually make an agreement with somebody, they're going to probably say, yes, you're allowed to, and you have to give me credit. Another myth, this is a new one that's coming up a lot, which is, let's say somebody uses the hashtag that you use for your show, and they have a picture, let's say that you're a commercial product. You're the cheeseburger company, okay? And somebody hashtags cheeseburger company. You think, oh, well, that means they've given me permission to then take that picture and put it on my feed. That's just not true. You still need to get permission, and you can do it in an informal way. A lot of companies have programs now where they kind of comment on your feed. They say, I like that. Can we use it? Follow this link. That's the best practice here. Now, going back to, you're an infringer. It's too late. You've already done it. How much trouble are you in, right? You want to know?
Sure.
You're probably going to jail. No, you're probably not going to jail. You're probably not going to jail.
Oh my God. I was like, whoa, there's a lot of people getting ready to go to jail.
No, you're probably not. And the answer to that relates to whether or not the thing that you copied was copyright registered. So you don't have to register something at the U.S. Copyright Office to have copyright rights. Okay. And most works that are copyrightable are not actually copyrighted. So your podcast episodes, for example, somebody may take a clip from your podcast episodes and you may decide that it has exceeded fair use, that they have basically replaced you as the source of your own product. And now they've sliced and diced it, and they're not listening to the commercials, and they've cut into your revenue, and you want to go after them. Well, if you have a copyright registration, good news. You're automatically entitled to get it into federal court. You're automatically entitled to attorney's fees. You're automatically entitled to what's called statutory damages, which means, $750 to $30,000 or maybe $150,000 if it was really nasty, willful infringement. But most people don't really register. They just hope that nobody copies them, and then they can still rely on some remedies in state and sometimes federal court if you register it later. But if you register it after the infringement happens, your remedies are going to be very limited, probably to what's called an injunction, which means stop it. And the cost of getting that injunction is certainly going to exceed, or not certainly, but in many, or I would say most cases, the guy with the hamburger picture, if it has not been registered, is probably not going to find it worth it to go after you. But I should say, there are people putting stock footage on the internet as a sort of a honey trap. Yeah, that's a thing now. Wallpaper, things that look like they are free. They might even use the word free on their website, but then there's fine print. Or there's fine print and the fine print changes. And what ends up happening is they are not just photographers, but they are in cahoots with these image rights organizations that are now sending out letters nonstop. Now, I don't know, Greg, if you've ever gotten one of those letters, but
no.
Lots of my clients, good people, get those letters all the time. And you can't just ignore those letters because, like I said, the first step is you are an infringer. The question is, how severe is it? And are they really entitled? Because sometimes these letters make threats that are not accurate in terms of the rights because they don't actually have a copyright registration.
So some folks that I know are fiercely protective of their pictures or recipes that they would post. Others seem to think that any publicity is good publicity and don't seem to chase as hard when they find or someone tells them, oh, hey, so-and-so's taking your stuff, go check their account. Is one person more right than the other, or does ultimately it come down to, if you haven't, as you kind of mentioned, if you haven't copyrighted your picture or your recipe, be as angry as you want, be as nasty as you want in DM, but don't expect a lot of resolution otherwise?
Yeah, I would say, I think I said this when we were talking about trademarks too, that, if you want to send a letter, that's absolutely fine. But this day and age, you should just assume that letter will be posted on the internet, and that if you sound like a jerk in that letter, then the rest of the public will know that you're a jerk. And so it is good to try to deal with these things in a low-key way, making a phone call, not making a threat, asking nicely. But yes, so much of this, it's amazing that companies don't just take the good publicity and be happy that people are promoting their things. But that's just how it goes these days. But I think a lot of that is driven by kind of a new industry of profiting from image rights. You mentioned cookbooks and recipes, and I do want to make sure that I kind of address that, because that's becoming more of an issue. There's been some great articles about that lately. And in a nutshell, very hard to protect a recipe. The reason it's hard to protect a recipe is because it's factual. Like if you have a phone book, phone books are not copyrightable because they're a collection of facts. So the more creative something is, the more copyrightable it is. So you may notice that nowadays, when you go online for a recipe, you're going to see 2 pages of text before the recipe and photos and the grandma's story. Well, all of that is partly because they're building a narrative that this is actually a copyrightable work. Because the recipe itself, the ingredients, not so copyrightable. And there's been a few cases lately of people just changing a few ingredients, and there's really no case against them.
Did you see that Jamie Oliver is putting together a group of folks as he's getting ready to do another cookbook or something along these lines, to where everything is being reevaluated? I forget exactly what the term is, but it's a team of people that will look at the recipe and the story that goes along with it, or potentially where it came from, in order to not be offensive to some people. Like, can you believe, like, is this just where we're at in the day and age, or
The
what?
only offensive recipes are from meatloaf, right? I mean,
Currently.
yeah.
By the way,
so-
Suzanne, that was too soon, but you'll probably be hearing
Yeah,
from.
I'm sorry.
You can
You're
issue
the
an
one-
apology
you're
in
the
5
one who
minutes.
You're the one who said the songs weren't good. I didn't say that.
They're the worst.
You're the one who's going to get the hate mail.
Fine, bring it on. Those are the 2 worst songs ever. Agreed?
No comment?
Yeah, then
Too
okay,
soon.
but that's a yes.
Ask me next time.
Okay. Too much time will have passed at that point. Anything else we want to know copyright-wise in the next 30 seconds?
Yeah, I mean, just also being careful about if you're somebody who hires a celebrity or a grill celebrity, somebody to do endorsements for you. The Federal Trade Commission's really cracking down on these endorsements. If somebody says they like your product, they better have tried your product. Otherwise, you may have a false advertising claim. And you need to make disclosures that are fair. I mean, if somebody's in a commercial on TV, it's obvious they got paid. But if they're just making an appearance and they say something about your product, sometimes it's not clear that they were paid. And so those disclosures have there's sort of a balancing standard of what's fair. But if you're not sure, maybe consult an attorney too, because there's just a lot of ways to get in trouble with advertising these days.
So here's an interesting thing that just happened. Friday, I took delivery Friday of this really large cigar humidor through like an interview I did with somebody who's like a real cigar expert, but they heard me talking to him. I think there's the thought that the show has some legs behind it. And so they sent me this 400 count cigar humidor. I mean, it's ridiculous. So I'm going to shoot some video of it and do like a rolling evaluation of it, but I'm no expert. So do I need to disclose right up front that they sent it to me for free? Is it assumed that they did?
In context, you could argue that it's assumed, but just how hard is it to say they sent this to me? How it's such an easy thing for you to do, because by the way, it's not just on them, it's on you and on them in terms of the potential violation. So just go ahead and take that extra step and say they gave this to me.
Suzann, as a lawyer, are you always thinking, I got to cover my ass no matter what you're doing? Is that like inbred in lawyers, or can you just live footloose and fancy free?
Well, I'm trying to cover my clients' asses too. So fair enough.
Of course. Look, people are in the instant chat. She's fascinating. What a great guest. And the list goes on.
I can't even see it. Oh, I hope it's all nice.
KeepTM.com is the website that you would want to go to. You can talk to Suzann about trademarking and also copywriting, and or both, depending on if you are trademarkable and you have works of art laying around. You can get all of that taken care of right there. Plus, we have some folks that are affiliated with the show. They're doing business with Suzann. So this is a good egg right here. By the way, dare I say, Cleveland. That's all you need to know. Top of the food chain. Anything else before I let you go tonight, Suzann?
No, thank you so much for your time. Nice to see everyone.
Thank you. There she is, Suzann Moskowitz of the Moskowitz firm, yes, and the website keeptm.com. We are waiting for Derrick Riches to show up, so I would suggest, again, if you are somebody that has things that you've been working on, you would like to protect, you've thought about it, you didn't know how to go about it, now we have a friend in this portion of the industry. As we saw right there in the lead of the interview, I have my official certificate trademark for the show, branding. So it is keeptm.com. That's keeptm.com, Suzann Moskowitz, and she'll take care of you. All right, before we get to Derrick, I'll talk to you quickly about Primo Grills. What do we love about ceramic cookers? We love that they're fuel efficient. We love that you can achieve low and slow temperatures for traditional barbecue meats. We love that they can get really hot for grilling of steaks and other thin cuts. But what's missing in the everyday lineup of ceramic cookers? The ability to do true two-zone cooking. Two-zone cooking, very important to both professionals and backyard cooks alike. It's the best way to manage a fire and cook with confidence. However, getting a two-zone fire and a round ceramic cooker, not overly realistic. Why? Because it's round. Here we go with Primo Grill and their game-changing oval design. The shape gives you the ability to execute a two-zone setup that you desire. It also gives you the other ceramic grill benefits as well. Really, when you break it down, there's more than 60 different ways to configure the Primo cooker, so you're only limited by imagination. Now, what are you saying to me? What about these accessories, Greg? We love accessories with our cookers. Don't worry. They got you all hooked up here. They have the Primo Grill rotisserie. They have the Primo Grill pizza accessory. They have the stainless steel half pan. They have the rib rack where you can put a whole chicken in the middle if you want. The list goes on. Primo Grill's only sold through dealers, so find one near you, primogrill.com. That's primogrill.com. Find a dealer near you, get educated, and buy one. Here's the bottom line. The best ceramics in the biz, yes. Patented technology, yes. True two-zone cooking capabilities, I just said that. Multiple sizes, and yes, if you just have to have a round one, they have those as well. As I tell you each and every week, consider the oval. Be a game changer. Be a mold breaker. Who's ready for a Primo? I'm ready for a Primo. Again, primogrill.com, the website. Find a dealer near you. And thank me later. We're back with Derrick Riches right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And this portion of the show being brought to you by cookinpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. Visit cookinpellets.com for more information or to purchase. You can also visit amazon.com to purchase as well. But I recommend going right to the website, cookinpellets.com, and going from there. I sent CB some dates to get hooked up on a show, but nothing yet. We'll keep going. Many of you loving Suzann Moskowitz last segment. Brian Cooper weighing in. Greg Rempe and I have the same lawyer. John Paul Bofsky, Suzann fan forever. Bill Rempe, what a great guest. The list goes on. Let's keep the momentum rolling because it is the fourth Tuesday of the month in the first hour, and that means a visit from Barbecue Central Show guest, Hall of Fame member, and barbecue journalist of Live Fire, Derrick Riches. Hey, Derrick.
Hey, Greg. How you doing?
I am fabulous and glad to see you again. Had a month off. Did the end of the year treat you just as well as the balance of 2021?
Well, that's not saying much, is it? But no, yeah, it was good. It was nice. It was nice to have some downtime from things.
Did you get any cool barbecue gifts? I mean, as a guy who probably gets sent a lot of stuff, you're probably not wanting for much, but did anything pique your interest?
That's actually one of my rules. Don't give me barbecue stuff.
Oh.
You know.
What was the best gift then?
I
Jeez,
got a new generator.
Yeah,
My wife got me a generator because of
for the winter.
for the winter when the power goes out for a week.
Yes, I heard earlier in the week that Texas power grid was going to be put to the test sooner than later because there was some winter-like weather. Not the 4 feet of snow that dumped on Cleveland here last week, but whatever that means to you.
Yeah, it got down to like 29, I think, one night. So it's been pretty brutal down here.
Mm-hmm. No need for the generator yet?
Not yet.
Okay, good.
So far so good.
All right, so read Derrick over at DerrickRiches.com, of course, and he's got grill reviews, and he's got breaking news articles and editorial pieces. He's a leading opinion maker here in the live fire industry like myself. Last week, Derrick, we had Dustin Green from Weber on. He's the new Weber grill master. For years, it was Kevin Coleman. Not sure exactly what happened to Kevin Coleman, but now Kevin Coleman's name is Dustin Green, and he appears to be a lot shorter, but very knowledgeable, and we talked on and on about the newest line of Genesis revamps that was coming out. And I don't want you to think that I'm not going to mention it, but a number of weeks ago when Weber was teasing the release of 118, I saw a picture of something. I got really excited because a week before that, Charbroil came out with the thermostatically controlled cruise grill, and publicly I went out and said, Weber's coming out with a thermostatically controlled grill. You hinted around that I was talking out of school and not knowing much. I wanted to make a large bet. Then quickly I backed down. Didn't come to fruition is what I'm saying in a long roundabout way. But
I shouldn't have talked you out of the bet.
I know. You would have been a very richer man than you are now. But they did come out with a revamp of the Genesis line, which I guess for all intents, holding the charcoal aside, this is the flagship product of Weber. Really, a lot of us have some form of Genesis gas grill in our backyard, maybe along with a kettle cooker or some other type of Weber product. So I don't know if you listened to what Dustin had to say, but you've gotten some information on it. So what are your thoughts on the new Genesis line and what's good and what still needs fixing?
Well, they came out and said this would be the biggest innovation in grilling in the last 15 years,
yes.
Which I thought, okay, so 15 years ago was 2007. That's when they did a redesign of all their gas grills. That redesign was largely cosmetic. They did kind of cut the power and the high temperature output for the grills came down. So, I'm trying to kind of figure out what their level of innovation is. But you saw the hype. You talked to Dustin. What is it you think is the innovation here? What did they just do?
I can tell you what I saw.
Yeah.
It appears that there is a non-optional sear burner installed in every cooker.
Right.
It appears every cooker now has cabinetry underneath the cart.
Uh-huh.
And it also appears there is a 3-burner model and a 4-burner model, no longer a 2 and no more than 4. Right. And also you have the option of, is it the custom cookware or the custom set? Or you now have access to getting a grill that can accommodate accessories that Weber makes and trying to capture their own little accessory market now.
Right. It's what they call Weber Crafted Outdoor Kitchen Collection.
Weber Crafted, right. And then it can also, you have the iGrill thing or not. Smart accessory or not.
Yeah, you've got the...
But not on the 4. I noticed that. You don't have the smart on the 4-burner, if I remember correctly.
Now you make me look at my notes. There is a SPX 435 for $18.99.
That's a 4-burner?
4-burner smart grill.
All right. Well, good. I'm wrong.
Right. So, they talked about innovation and it's, they're pushing this whole big thing. And so you're thinking, okay, it's this accessory set. Now, in reality, this accessory set is an expansion of what they used to call the gourmet barbecue system. And that was a small circular piece of the grill grate that could be taken out and you could put in a Dutch oven, you could put in a plancha, you could put in, a number of different accessories that would fit into this little circular piece. Now, with this Weber Crafted Outdoor Kitchen Collection, you can take out a 16 by 16 section of the cooking grate, and you can put in a griddle, you can put in a stone, you can put in a very large, heavy cast iron searing grate. I'm sure more accessories to come. So, you think it's like, okay, this is about accessorization. Weber's been big about accessories for a long time. They said a decade ago that the market, particularly the US market, was about accessories. And so you think you buy a Genesis grill, you now can just go out and get one of these accessories and plop it in your grill, right? I mean, does that not seem logical?
Yep.
Well, the specialized cooking grate, which is known as the Weber Crafted Grill Frame, will come on 4 of the 14 models that will be sold in the United States. And it will come on, I think, 6 of the units that will be sold outside of the United States. So they have different models in different countries. Weber always does that. It gets confusing, and it's kind of a pain in the ass to people who try to keep track of their products. Me. So you buy the Genesis and you're thinking, oh, great, I get all these accessories. Now you have to have the specialized frame piece to put in, and that's $170 to $180. And then if you want the griddle, so you
just
can
the framing is an extra $180?
Yes, just the framing.
Wow.
So if you then want the griddle, that's $100. And the cookstone is $100, and the cast iron searing grate is $100. You could buy a $900 Genesis, cheapest model they're going to be offering now, and then spend $1,000 accessorizing it.
Wow.
Right off the bat. But fortunately, you've got places to hang all and put all those accessories into the cabinet, because they spend a lot of time designing the cabinet. So you can hang the cooking grates and the different accessories and put them all inside. So, I mean, this is just, to me, it's a huge upsell thing. It's just, if you want to get a Genesis grill because you want the accessories, because you want to have that, the least expensive model of Genesis is a specialty market, only available in certain locations, and it retails at $1,179. So $280 more than the base model, and you get the $180 accessory unit that goes in it, and then you get to buy the accessories.
Has Weber struggled with accessories before, or are they just trying to have a product that is all encompassing?
I think that what they're pushing for is versatility. Gas grills have kind of taken it on the chin in the last couple of years because of the explosion of pellet grills. And so, let's build this accessorizable system in here, and then we can Father's Day is going to roll around, and we're just going to push out, here's the accessories for that grill you've registered through the iGrill app, and, you've already got your Father's Day list going. But, if you go out and you look, well, you can get a 16 by 16 pizza stone for $30. You can get a number of griddle accessories that will fit into a gas grill for as low as $40.
Can't you get a Blackstone flat top griddle cooker for $300?
Yeah, you can do that too. So, there's that option.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
so where are you sitting on the biggest innovation over the last 15 years? A little sour on that?
A little bit. The one thing they did do is that sear burner that has been an option is now going to be standard. It used to be 9,000 BTUs. It's now 13,000 BTUs. So now the Weber Genesis is a powerful grill on 2/3 of the cooking area. The other third, it's still underpowered. It's still a bit weak. But, this is just kind of, again, the demonstration that they consider themselves more a luxury brand than, a general brand for the people who are, going to get that $300 gas grill that has no name at the local big box store.
So who is that
And
lower tier then? If Weber is now fancying themselves a luxury-ish brand, is Charbroil now the everyman's grill?
yeah, I mean, Charbroil still has units down into the $250, $300 price range. But more and more, it's just kind of been taken over by no-name store brands. I think that just kind of there's a lot of cost that's gone into the gas grills, and there's been a lot of kind of inflation in the component pieces, and so it's kind of harder for grill manufacturers to build that cheap grill. I mean, forever we had the cheapest $99 gas grill, and for 20 years that price never changed, and then that's just kind of died away.
Derrick Riches joining us here on the show, DerrickRiches.com, his website. Transitioning a little bit here, and it seems like we bring Traeger up every time we're visiting on a monthly basis. Derrick, Traeger stock is reeling. I'm no stock guy, but I know from a few days into opening at the end of July or whenever it was, or the end of August, it was cresting at 32, and today it closed at $9.61, which is down 4% from yesterday. What the hell is going on over there?
They have not managed to get any excitement. I mean, Weber stock hasn't done quite as bad, but it's
plus $10.
Not doing very well. Yeah, I mean it's
I mean, not great, but bad.
Right. I think that this what I was thinking about this, and it was like, so Traeger CEO Jeremy Andrus does an interview on CNBC right around the time they do the big, the IPO goes out, stock goes out. And in that interview, I think he said Peloton 7 times. And like, we can be like that. We can be this super lifestyle brand sort of thing. And people will kind of gravitate around us and our accessories and our clothing and our boxed foods that they now ship out and all of those sort of stuff. And I don't know if you've looked at Peloton stock, but it's gone from 160 to 25 in the last year.
They stopped making bikes.
Well, I mean, it just has not been good news for a number of companies, and both Traeger and Weber have had a lot of difficulty getting a positive message out there. When I look at, there's forums where the day traders and the stock traders kind of like post memes and smack talk each other and do all this sort of stuff. And they're almost universally, I'll buy Traeger at 8. So that
really,
I'm assuming that's where the floor is. The floor is probably
going to go down another $1.60.
That's what I would bet on. I mean, I'm not gonna invest in it because.
Are they memeing where it's going to rally back to if you buy at 8? Will it see 20 again? Because I'll buy at 8 if it'll go back to 20.
I mean, you get some of these analysts who keep saying the target price is 36, but they've been saying that since the IPO, and they just keep, we still believe in it as a brand. And I'm like, well, yeah, you do that. Okay. I don't, know what kind of, I mean, Jeremy Andrus actually gave an interview where he said, we are suffering from pretty severe logistical problems, and we're going to do our best to make sure that grills are getting in stores. And, that tanked the stock. And it's kind of the last word that the company's put out is, we're trying to make sure people can buy our products. And that doesn't exactly inspire confidence.
Derrick Riches joining us here on the show. DerrickRiches.com is his website. Before I let you go, Derrick, how is that complete guide to smoking meat, 100 smoking good recipes for barbecue and more doing?
That's been doing really well. I'm happy with it. I think the publisher's happy with it. So, I mean, publishing is a weird world, and I don't understand the math that they use to figure stuff out. But from everything I've seen, it's done really quite well.
If you haven't,
we've had a lot of good positive feedback on it.
Good. Well, if you haven't picked up a copy, or your live fire lover didn't get you or gift you a copy this holiday season, take some of those newfound riches from the money that your parents gave you and go buy your copy of Derrick Riches' new book, The Complete Guide to Smoking Meats, 100 Smoking Good Recipes for Barbecue and More. Maybe next month we won't have any Traeger topics. However, I will say this. February 8th, locked in, Jeremy Andrus appears on this show. In the first hour, I had to bump Meathead and Dr. Robert Moss off their recurring guest schedule so I can accommodate
a whole hour.
I got him for a whole 2 interview segments. So we might talk offline to strategize some pertinent question asking and see how it goes. So, all right. Well, in the meantime, you can find Derrick Riches on the fourth Tuesday in the first hour in the second interview segment right here on this show, or in the meantime, DerrickRiches.com. Derrick, always appreciate the time.
Hey, it's great to be here. And just one small thing on the book, content warning, there is a meatloaf recipe in it. So
no apology necessary. No apology necessary. Derrick, always appreciate the time. Thank you for coming on. There he is. Derrick right there. He knew that I was potentially going to be asking him about the Weber apology that I talked about there in the show open. All right, let's talk to you about Green Mountain Grill, some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today. Just talking to Jason Baker a couple days ago. Things are going well. 2 lines to choose from. Choice line. So if you're looking to save a few bucks, you don't need a lot of the tech or the internal meat probes, things like this. Choice line is the one you want. Daniel Boone is the size. This also accommodates a pizza oven insert if you like pizza ovens and inserts. Then you have a prime line on top of that. A little bit more of a robust build on the chassis. You have a front table to work with. Now you have internal meat probes times 2. Now you have look-in windows on the main cooking chamber and on the pellet hopper. You also have lights inside of the cooker if you want. And Wi-Fi technology. You can open up an app. You can control it right from your app. Pipe the temperature up, pipe it down. Set custom cook cycles, all the fun stuff. Green Mountain Grills, like Primo's, only sold through dealers, so find a dealer near you. GreenMountainGrill.com. That's GreenMountainGrill.com. Go to the dealer that's near you. Talk to the sales guy. He's full of educational knowledge. He will educate you. You'll pick the right size. And when you are headed home, as you're checking out, you'll also pick up a pizza oven insert, because the pizza oven insert can go in the prime line as well. Now you're fully complete. Sauces, rubs, other accoutrements at Green Mountain Grill's website, greenmountaingrill.com. That's greenmountaingrill.com. We're back to wrap the first hour right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
We thank Derrick Riches for joining us the last segment, as always, the fourth Tuesday of every month in the first hour. This portion brought to you by Fireboard 2, Fireboard 2 Drive, and Fireboard 2 Pro, and Fireboard Spark. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously, connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring, or connect via the Bluetooth. If you have Alexa or the Google Assistant in your home, you're in luck. Fireboard fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. In summary of Derrick's visit, he's a little sour on the Genesis stuff. Doesn't like. These are my feelings on listening to him talk. Isn't overly jazzed that you have to pay $180 to get that extra chassis portion for the custom kit, and then every accessory is $100 plus dollars. So you can get the $900 grill, and then you're in $1,000 of accessories. Accessories is very important. You know, typically with accessories, it's like selling trucks. The money isn't in the truck sales, it's in the parts and service. Similarly on grills, it's not necessarily the grill sale, it's the accessories and all the other stuff. That's where the margin is. Margin isn't necessarily in the grill, it's in the accessories. Read Derrick at DerrickRiches.com. We're pointing to the second hour where we'll have great takes, And we have the Embedded Correspondents coming up and all that fun stuff. So stick around, and we'll be right back.
Hi, this is Biscuitdog, the barbecue wizard, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Bye-bye!
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me!
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude.
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 54 wieners. But listen, Libertius, shake your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seed.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. It is the Barbecue Central Show. Welcome aboard. If you've missed the first hour, you've missed a lot. You missed copyright talk. You missed a monicum of trademark talk. You missed the reveal of my brand new trademark paperwork coming from Suzann Moskowitz as well, from keeptm.com or the Moskowitz firm, whichever you prefer. You also missed Derrick Riches talking about the release of the new / revamped Weber Genesis line. His thoughts on that. We also mused a bit about what is happening with Traeger stock. At once, towards $32 a share. Now, not even $10. What's going on there? So, if you missed it, we are recording, and you'll get the first hour coming up in about 2 hours from now or tomorrow afternoon, morning, whenever you get it. And the second hour will be up Thursday. I'll talk to you about Friday here in just 1 second. Don't forget, you can follow me socially at BBQ Central Show on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Snapchat / BBQ Central Show on Facebook and Twitch for live video feeds. VMix and Facebook decided to play well again, and now all of the proper platforms are running together in sanctimous harmoniousisms, which is completely wrong on the English. I'm sorry. I was getting there, but it just didn't happen. So I can see all your chats. I couldn't last week, but now I can see them all there. So if you're on Twitch or Facebook or YouTube, I'm seeing everything as it's running through here, and happy to have you there. You can also find one on YouTube / RD Rempe for a live video feed, or just get the audio on Clubhouse. By the way, next segment, we will start with the Embedded Correspondents, as you know. And as you might know, when we lead the Embedded Correspondence segment, we do something called the 100% Assurity Picks. And if you would like to give your 100% Assurity pick along with Rusty and Doug and John and myself, all you have to do is get on the Clubhouse room or get in the Clubhouse room, raise your hand when I tell you, and then who's ever in that raises their hand first, I'll just pick you, and you can give your answers along with us. It's very exciting for you. It's very fun for you. And Rusty and John and Doug and myself, we're just trying to give back to the community that supports us. That's it. That's all we're trying to do. Add a little fun and frivolity. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less this Friday, episode 213. 4/9/2013. Does April 9th, 2013 mean anything to you? Probably not. But stemming from the events that transpired from a barbecue contest that occurred on August 11th, 2012, 8/11/12. Does that date mean anything to you? Also, this was a request from Lance Owen, barbecue realtor to the stars in the luxury paradise of Kona, Hawaii, the longtime fan of the show. And we take you back to 2011. A barbecue competitor was banned from competitions for life. Why? Because according to reports, he wore a penis and balls apron to the award stage. Kids saw it. Women saw it. Other man folk saw it. It did not go over very well at all. To the tune of him getting a pretty stiff punishment from KCBS. In this Best Moments, I actually talked to the guy who was the offender or accused, but let's say offender, and we got his complete side of the story. His name was Daniel Pomerantz, who wore the penis and balls apron to the award stage. We got his total side of the story. Back in the day, this was a huge deal back in 2011. I remember hearing scuttlebutt about it. I remember hearing somebody got a lifetime ban. I remember hearing the words penis and balls and apron and was completely shocked, to say the least. So, if you have never heard it, you can go right back to this Friday where I give you, or John gives you, a 8-minute clip of what that sounded like. We tackled it all on this show. And I'm 100% sure, more sure than anything in my life, that if you've never done it before and you're a regular listener of the Best Moments portion, that you will hit the full-length episode that is in the show notes to check out the full interview. I have no doubt that this will be one of those shows that gets spit back up into hundreds and hundreds of new downloads because it was lost 10 years ago, 12 years ago, whatever it was. August 11th, 2012. So, thanks to Lance for the request, number one. Thanks to John for putting it together. And don't forget, if you want to hear a guest or segment again that has been lost in the archives, email John and let him know what you would like to hear, just like Lance did. Lance said, hey, I want to hear about penis and balls. You got anything about that? John's like, you bet I do. I can do it. And then there's this. As I had referenced at the top of the show, there were a number of things that set someone off about the Weber interview from last week, not the least of which is this. And a number of you took me to task right away, right after the show. Oh, you let him slide. Oh, why didn't you say this when he brought that up? Or why didn't you say that when he mentioned this? I don't make any excuses here other than this. When the show is happening live, I'm the only dude running the show. I'm engineering the show. I'm producing the show. I have a whole bunch of bullshit electronics that you can't see because the camera's facing this way, but if you looked this way, it would probably make your head spin. So sometimes, I don't like to pull the curtain back like this all the time, but sometimes when the guest is talking, I'm not paying 100% attention.
Andrew, you
are not paying attention. Sometimes it happens. So when I was re-listening to the show or the first hour of the show on Wednesday morning for the drive into work, I heard exactly what you guys wrote in about. And nobody was more disappointed than me that it went over my head because I was not.
Andrew, you are
not paying attention. But in case you missed it, this is what Dustin said.
I tell you, we have a lot of things in the work. Like you said, though, it's a matter of taking that concept and getting it right. I mean, the worst thing that somebody or a company can do is put a concept out there. It doesn't work. And you just get dragged through the mud for it.
I asked him about other technology. We were talking about thermostatically controlled grills. I said, do you have something like this in the works? And he said, that was the setup. Do you have anything else in the works? And this was his reply.
I tell you, we have a lot of things in the work. Like you said, though, it's a matter of taking that concept and getting it right. I mean, the worst thing that somebody or a company can do is put a concept out there. It doesn't work. And you just get dragged through the mud for it.
You mean like the Weber smoke fire? I don't know where I missed it. The floodgates were open. The doors were open. The streets were on fire. I missed it. Totally missed it. Perfect setup. I would hazard a guess that at this point, and having asked the previous version of Dustin Green, that being Kevin Coleman, does Weber really think that the Weber smoke fire was a winner? And to his credit, Kevin Coleman stood by that thing. If you offered him a parachute to jump off, I believe he would go down with that plane on fire, crashing into the ground. But I didn't to Dustin. So I apologize to everybody that thought I let that slide. Believe me, after I heard it, I'm like, hey, why didn't I say anything about the Weber smoke fire? I don't think anybody that is employed, contracted, or related to Weber would sit there and say that the Weber smoke fire at launch and for months after was an unmitigated disaster. But all you have to do is go back through the internet lore and forums and Facebook pages and social media. It was an unmitigated disaster. There was no mitigating it. It was on fire. That's why Barbecue Smokey called it the Weber Smoker Fire, because it was on fire. Literally. Now, then the pandemic hit, and you never heard about it again.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Thank you, COVID. By the way, Weber, if you want to sponsor the show, I'm all in. You got to take with the good with the bad. I'll take a lot of money, and you can take some hits sometimes, but you can also take the praise. Let's do this. We've waited long enough. Let's get together. Come on. All right, the Embedded Correspondents are all ready to go. I will talk to you quickly about Big Papa Smokers, the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue and grilling related. Everything at Big Papa Balls, everything at Big Papa Smokers has been hand-picked by Sterling, Big Papa Ball himself, from the award-winning rubs and sauces, the American-made grills and smokers. 13 perfectly balanced rubs and seasonings, popular flavors like Sweet Money, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow, all proven winners on the competition circuit and in backyards. Transforming ordinary meals into extraordinary. Here's what I did over the weekend with some Butcher Shop prime steaks that I had shipped up from Kevin Green's shop, which, by the way, I paid for. I'm learning Suzann Moskowitz. I paid for those. Double Secret steak rub, base layer, Cash Cow bottom layer, base layer, and then Double Secret steak rub on top of that. Holy moly, what a winner. Just ask Maddie's boyfriend. I thought that kid's head was going to explode with the flavor in his mouth. Now, aside from the rubs and seasonings, they have the barbecue sauce as well, Granny's barbecue sauce, and they're selling cookers, versatile smoker that's easy to use, the Mac 2-star General Pellet Cooker. Also mentioned that to Jason Kaplan earlier today for pellet cooker to buy. Not a fan of pellet smokers? Take a look at the Old Hickory Ace BP. Big Papa keeps one on his competition trailer. If you're not sure of what grill you need, call them 877-828-0727. That's 877-828-0727. Or shop their website at bigpapasmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA smokers.com. And we are back with the Embedded Correspondents right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And this portion being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet, currently available in 3 sizes with a host of Pit Barrel Cooker accessories. Whether you are a beginner or a professional, it's definitely a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com. Tell them Barbecue Central Show sent you. In fact, I got a call from Amber Glanville today because I got a call from Noah Glanville last week. And after he got done pounding me in the balls and I won't go into it any more than that. He offered up a challenge. So now I am trying to put that challenge into play. And what does that mean for you? I'll tell you.
A Barbecue Central Show exclusive news update.
Greg Rempe reporting from the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio. The city breaking the most live fire breaking news as it breaks across the country, nay, the globe. What it means for you is, if I can put it together, and you either want a pit barrel or you've been thinking about getting a pit barrel and you've been on the fence, in either scenario, what I'm trying to put together quite possibly will send you diving over the fence in a positive fashion. That's all I can say at the moment. But just know that when I'm talking about deals, special events, breaking news, it's only to the benefit of the show Centralites, and that's it. Hey, it's the fourth Tuesday of the month in the second hour, and we know what that means. That means we have a visit from none other than the Embedded Correspondents. That's right. There they are to my top right as you're looking at the television screen. Doug Scheiding of Rogue Cookers, the longest-running Embedded Correspondent hailing from Texas. Below me is John Solberg, the second longest-running Embedded Correspondent from the great state of Michigan. And caddy down to the right is the third longest-running Embedded Correspondent from the great city of Utah and pitmaster of Salt City Barbecue, and the associated food trailer, Rusty Monson, joining us here on the show. So, guys, always appreciate the time. Now, let's quickly do this. We're going to, yes, Guy Chisholm is ready to rock and roll on the clubhouse here. So, he is, his hand is raised. I'm inviting him on stage. So, Guy, I think you just need to accept whatever the hell I did, and you'll be ready to go. So, gents, everybody ready to play a round of the 100% Assurity Picks? All right. I like it. You know, I really love this clubhouse, except for the fact that it is really damn hard to get somebody from the audience onto the stage. I mean, what the hell does the guy have to do? I'm hitting invite on stage, and it's just not working. Guy, I apologize. I'm trying to get you up here, and it's just not working. You work on that on your side, Guy, and I will entertain my regularly scheduled monthly guests. Here we go. First one. Gents, 100% yes or 100% no. Weber was correct in sending out that apology letter last week referencing Meatloaf, both the recipe that they sent out first, then learning of the ultimate demise of Meatloaf, the singer, issuing the apology. 100% yes or 100% no. They were correct in sending it out. Doug?
To quote Meatloaf, for crying out loud, no.
Is that a quote? Rusty,
It's a song,
100% yes or 100% no. Weber was correct in sending out that apology letter last week referencing Meatloaf.
No, not at all. They shouldn't. No. Of course.
Hey, Rusty, speak into that microphone again.
Can you hear me?
Tap the microphone.
Boop, 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 boop.
No, I don't think you have the right microphone on this time.
Interesting.
Yes. You fiddle around with your settings. I'm turning your sound off now. I can't stand for such nonsense. John, 100% yes or 100% no. Weber was correct in sending out that apology letter last week referencing Meatloaf.
100% no.
Oh.
I would not have noticed the meatloaf recipe.
Well, I think this is one of the very few times we are going to draw what I call a 100% Assurity agreeance. I also believe no.
Get that free stuff out of here.
And this guy somehow figured it out. We go out to the paradise of Kona, Hawaii, and welcome in Lance Owen. Lance, 100% yes or 100% no. Weber was correct in sending out that apology letter last week referencing Meatloaf.
100% no.
100% no. All right. 5 out of 5 ain't bad. Rusty, how about now?
I don't know. Does it sound better?
No, it does not sound better. Sounds like
I'm going to bounce, and I'll be right back.
You bounce and be right back. Lance will pick up your light work here. Don't worry about it, Rusty. Question number 2. 100% yes or 100% no. 2022 will be the year for the rise and domination of the wireless thermometer market. Lance Owen.
100% yes.
Oh, okay. Now we're positive right out of the gate. Like it. John, 100% yes or 100% no. 2022 will be the year for the rise and domination of wireless thermometer market.
Lead pipe lock 100% no.
Oh.
Get that free stuff out of here.
Doug, 100% yes or 100% no?
I'm all in. Yes.
Okay. Rusty is still bounced. We go to me for a 100% yes or 100% no. I have to go no. So we're tied. John and I have taken the contrary. Doug and Lance have taken the positive. And Rusty has not moved for over 5 seconds, which means he is not in. So we will come back to him once he rejoins us, and he will break the tie in any event. We'll move on to question number 3, and we'll go back to Lance Owen for this one. 100% yes or 100% no. Lance, will Meathead ever complete the second book he talks about time and time again?
Not in 2022.
That's a 100% no. Lance in Hawaii. Doug, 100% yes or 100% no. Meathead will never complete that second book.
I think this is a double negative.
It is.
No, he will. No, he will. So yes.
All right. Let me go back to Lance. Lance, do you want to change your answer since it's a double negative?
My answer is he will not finish the book.
All right, so you're with a yes. There you go.
He's a yes.
He's a yes. We go to John Solberg. Yes or no? Meathead will never complete the second book.
100% yes. He will never complete the second book.
Still no Rusty on the video finder here, so we'll go to me, and I will agree with Lance and John. He will not complete that second book. I believe... You know what? I don't even believe that he wants to complete the second book. He has, to me, talked on this show at length about his labor more than love of the first book, even with the success. He has been tainted with money, and I think ultimately he will not.
Andrew, you are not.
He will not complete that second book. Rusty.
Can you hear me better?
Yes, there he is. Very good. He's back at it, back and better than ever, as we would say. So you're 2 behind here, Rusty, so let's go ahead and get you caught up.
All right.
100% yes or 100% no. 2022 will be the year for the rise and domination of the wireless thermometer market. By the way, you're breaking a tie on this.
Ooh, I'm going to say yes, though I hate it so bad. But yeah, I think it will be.
Right? So you agree with Lance and Doug. John and I took the contrary position, which I'm sure is shocking to you. 100% yes or 100% no in the second one that you missed. 2 weeks, 100% yes or 100% no. Meathead will never complete the second book that he talks about. This is a double negative. Optimistic. This is a double negative question right off the bat. Okay. Just want to make sure Meathead will never complete the second book.
No, he will not. He will. Yes, he will complete the second book.
All right.
Is that right?
Is that right?
So he's a no.
Right. No. So the yes.
So he's a
means,
no, which means yes, he'll complete.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. You're a no. I got to do better at wording these things.
Yeah, you do.
This is the third month in double negatives. I got to run my double negative questions by Doug to make sure that we're asking this. In my head, it sounds absolutely like a no-brainer, but then when it counts, somehow it kicks in. Anyway, we're going back to Lance Owen from Kona, Hawaii, to give us his 100% yes or 100% no answer to this question. 2 weeks ago, Meathead was taken way out of context and did not mean anything negative to women about not knowing how to use gas grills?
I believe, was taken out of context.
All right. Rusty, 2 weeks ago, Meathead was taken way out of context and did not mean anything negative to women about not knowing how to use gas grills. 100% yes or 100% no?
He was taken out of context. I listened and it didn't even phase me the next one.
Doug, yes or no?
The issue is the word way. I'm going to say no, but I'm going to say he didn't mean it, but perception's reality.
Right?
Get that freak stuff out of here.
John, yes or no?
I'd like to abstain, but I'm not gonna. I listened to the show. I missed it. And was I like off in the Magic Kingdom when he said it? I did the playback. I didn't pick it up. But knowing, I'm gonna go with, so that said, was he taken out of context? No, he was not taken out of context.
Right.
I'm going with that in the dark.
Was he taken out of context? I don't think he was. Was he taken way out of context?
Way out of context.
Yes, he was taken way out of context. My feeling. However, as Doug said, you're completely entitled to feel the way that you want to feel. We go back to Lance Owen for this question. 100% yes or 100% no. Lance, since our last visit, have you tried pickled bologna?
That's an absolute no, never going to happen. 100%.
Never going to happen, huh? Don't say never. We might ship you a bottle of pickled bologna, so don't count your chickens don't count your horses before they run around the arena that you just dragged. Doug, 100% yes or 100% no, you've tried pickled bologna since our last visit.
No, I actually looked for it, though.
All right. Halfway there. Rusty, 100% yes or 100% no on pickled bologna?
Since our last talk, I have not, but like Doug, I looked closer at my local.
Well, this is going to sound weird. John, since our last visit, have you had pickled bologna?
Several times.
Yes, of course.
Several times.
All right. Now, look. For me, 100% yes or 100% no. 5 days ago, I finished the jug that John sent me, so yes. It was delicious. I didn't deviate. It was only sliced bologna, white bread, American cheese, and mustard. Some people might think the mustard puts the pickled part over the top. However, I'm a huge fan of vinegar in general. I thought this the mustard amped up the vinegar profile of the bologna. And by the way, I think pickled might lead, if you've never had it, to a little bit of a misinterpretation of what that flavor is actually going to be. It's way more vinegar than pickle, like pickle brine or whatever. So I thought the match was great. Maybe a little too over the top if you're not too vinegary of a person, but very delicious. So, John, thank you very much for sending me one. Second to last Assurity pick, we go back to Hawaii. Lance, 100% yes or 100% no as it relates to KCBS competitions. Pork collar will be the preferred choice of competition cooks for cooking pork across America.
Because we don't have any contests out here and I'm not familiar with that, can I abstain from this question?
No, you have to give a 100% yes or 100% no. What are you talking about?
100% yes.
All right. Good man. But to pick something and stick with it. John Solberg, 100% yes or 100% no as it relates to competitions from KCBS. Pork collar will be the preferred choice.
100% no. No, not happening.
Let's go to a couple competitors. Doug, 100% yes or 100% no. KCBS will see the rise of pork collar.
No.
Wow. Rusty, KCBS will see pork collar as the preferred choice of pork for competitions across America. 100% yes or 100% no?
100%. Oh, yeah. Easy.
So that was Lance taking a stab in the dark with a positive, Rusty with a positive, 2 negatives from Doug and John. That leaves me to break the tie. And contrary to popular belief, yes, this will be a thing in 2022 with the change of the rule. You can now use pork collar, and it's my thought that pork collar is also going to encompass the money muscle, which is a very big thing for teams still. So I think you will see pork collar rise to cataclysmic fame here in 2022. Rusty, do you think it will see cataclysmic success or just success?
I think it'll be successful, and then people just will go back to putting more stuff in the box and, different stuff like that. I think it'll kind of peak. It'll go, hell yeah, and then people are like, hey, nah, we'll go back to normal.
Doug, similar thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, people use money muscle pretty much down here in CBA, but yeah, I just don't. There's too many options in a pork butt.
Last question. 100% yes or 100% no. Lance, you will own a thermostatically controlled gas grill.
100% no.
Get that big stuff out of here.
John, 100% yes or 100% no?
Oh, 100% hell yes. I'm not missing this.
Yes. Doug, 100% yes or 100% no?
Count me out. No.
Get that big stuff out of here.
A lot of controversy this month. I love it. Rusty, 100% yes or 100% no? You will own a thermostatically controlled gas grill.
I've wanted to get a gas grill, and if you're going to get one, it's going to be this one. So absolutely yes.
Right. Are we back tied again? Right?
Yes.
I will go ahead and break the tie one more time. 100% yes or 100% no? I will own a thermostatically controlled gas grill. No.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Why? Because I'm not a woman. Just kidding, ladies. Just kidding. Come on, I'm just joking. I will not own a thermostatically controlled gas grill. Own. However, let's go back around the dais real quick. Lance, you said yes, right, Lance?
I said no.
Oh, you said no. If somebody sent it to you for free, would you take it?
Yes.
All right. John, you said yes. Doug, you said no. If somebody sent it to you for free, would you take it?
Yeah, I'd take it.
All right. And Rusty, you would take one for free?
Yeah.
All right. Look at us. Lance Owen joining us from the magical paradise of Kona, Hawaii, and realtor to the superstars out there in that paradise. Lance, anything you would like to promote before I let you go?
Hey, just our website, KonaHomeTeam.com. If we can help you with any real estate needs in the state of Hawaii, just give me a call.
All right, there he is, Lance Owen, joining us once again. By the way, I apologize to whoever was trying to come up that I can't remember right off the top of my head, but not sure exactly what happened there. And there you go. So it's fun. If you want to take part in 100% Assurity Picks going forward, joining Doug and Rusty, John, and myself, all you have to do is join us for that first interview segment, the fourth Tuesday of the month in the second hour through Clubhouse. I'm not sure exactly how we get connected, but sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And then you can share some stardom with the 3 embedded correspondents and myself. All right, guys, you stick by here, and then we'll get into some other hot topics. I will go ahead and keep pace with the clock and talk to you about what? Do Wellness. David Leans, my pal David McDowell. We talked about goal setting last week. We talked about things that you need to do since we are already into the first of the year to get you on the right track. I know a lot of us make a habit of getting seconds and thirds and fourths when we eat barbecue. I mean, we listen to this show because we love everything about barbecue. We love especially eating barbecue. Maybe you've heard that having a dad bod was cool. Well, take it from a hunk like me. There's nothing sexy about wearing your gluttony everywhere you go. Not to mention, being overweight increases the risk of all causes of mortality, including strokes, most cancers, coronary artery disease, sleep apnea, hypertension, osteoarthritis, mental illness, and the list goes on. Making the decision to change decades-old food habits can mean the difference between you attaining your health goals versus dealing with unknown health challenges that you and your family will have to face down the line. Luckily, thanks to my pal David McDowell, also a backyard barbecue enthusiast, follow him on Instagram at Earl's Cookout, you can eat barbecue all year round and still lose the fat. With David, you've got an assistant around the clock. He's just a text message, an iMessage, or a WhatsApp message away. He's also available on FaceTime, Zoom, or WhatsApp video chat whenever you need him. He's even there on short notice. Now, while some coaches are charging upwards of $500 or more a month for a canned diet plan and 1 to 2 check-ins a month, forget that. Partnering with David allows you access to a resource who's available effectively 24/7. So here's what you do. Go to the website, David Leans, Leans, davidleans.com/BBQ, and sign up right now, $200 a month. Call David, get that initial consultation, work out the whole situation on what you want to look like, things you want to things you want to eat, things you want to drop, how you want to look. It's going to get you through a whole process, get you some diet plans, the whole deal. If you need to just check in mentally, help you do that as well. That's tough. You make the decision that you want to change, but you don't believe that, how am I actually going to do this? You need some help. Dave is there to do it. davidleans.com/BBQ. That's davidleans.com/BBQ. And get yourself on your way to 2022's health and wellness success. That's right. We are back with more Barbecue Central Show and Embedded Correspondents. Right after this, stick around. We'll be right back.
Celebrating over 10 years of prolific and unparalleled live fire barbecue and grilling talk. And yes, it's still being done from Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Hey, this portion being brought to you by Smithfield. Head to smithfield.com right now for recipes as well as tips and tricks from well-known live fire cooks like Darren Worth, Jess Pryles, and Childs Cridlin. Mouth-watering flavor, no artificial ingredients. Smithfield's fresh pork is quite simply some of the finest pork money can buy. The trusted choice of top cooks for use in competitions and at home. Go to smithfield.com, or if you're competing, smoking with smithfield.com to report your first place finishes in pork and ribs. By the way, I do want to say thank you to John Paul Bofsky for the super chat of $10. John, I don't know if there's any way you can retract that. YouTube and I have had a long-standing hatred of each other. You can give me that money, but I'm never going to see that money. I have show sponsors. I appreciate the idea here, but if there's any way you can refund yourself, maybe I can do that. No need to super chat me $10. I mean, if you really feel like you need to send me money, ask me for my address, and you can send me cash multiples of 100. Otherwise, just know that I appreciate you tuning in, and that's good. But I hate YouTube with a burning desire, and they hate me just as well, perhaps even more. So that's smithfield.com. All right, guys, so we have a couple other topics for discussion here. And this is a two-part. So over the life of the show, I and some others have taken a dump on the meter product. We touched a little bit about this in the 100% Assurity Picks as well, but wanted to dig into it a little bit more here. So where do you guys feel the wireless thermometer environment is right now? Let's go to John first, because he is a well-known and respected tester. He does a bunch of work for a number of other big names that we won't talk about here. But John, where do you feel the environment of wireless thermometering is right now?
I think it's really, really interesting. And here's a point. 2.5, 3 years ago, I reviewed most of the products that were coming out. All of a sudden, I'm reviewing those exact same products again. I'm starting to get those same products. The products that are updated. They're the newer version. But it's like we're starting all over again. So I haven't actually physically got my first one in the mail. It's coming, and it is the updated version of a meat stick, which I reviewed 2.5 years ago. And they had mediocre reviews then, so I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen with them. But I still don't think we're pushing into the stratosphere with them yet, but we're gaining ground.
When you look at mediocre reviews 2 or 3 years ago, if you can remember, were you also impressed just because there was no wires, or is mediocre regarded?
You know, the products have always been fairly consistent in their performance. The mediocre side comes in the things that surround the product. I'll say the charging block, even the case it comes in, the Wi-Fi bridge, and its ease of use. But for the most part, all of the actual thermometer probes, the pencils, I call them, have been consistent and worked exactly the way that they're described to work. It's the ancillary products that are mediocre.
Doug, where do you think the wireless thermometer environment is right now?
Well, no one kind of crapped on Meter bigger than I. Then after the 2 years of, the the Kickstarter program where I didn't get my product, et cetera. And then when I got it, to me, it didn't work. So the original Meter was terrible to stick, and then the block was really no better. I'm not an idiot, but I could only get the Wi-Fi to work 1 out of 10 times. So I gave up on it for a long while until actually when Traeger bought them, and then the Meter Plus came out. And so that Meter Plus acts like a little block on its own, and it stinking works. It's Bluetooth, but it, has a pretty good range of, 165 feet. Sorry. So, I'm surprised that there hasn't been others in the market.
Rusty, where do you think, or how do you feel we are right now in the wireless thermometering market and environment?
I think it's still all new. Obviously, you look at a computer in the 70s and it takes up a whole room, and a Meter right now takes up a whole brisket. So I think they have a lot of, I think if you can kill someone with it, it shouldn't, be a thermometer. So if you can protect your family with a wireless probe, you should probably wait till they dumb it down a little bit. In a competition world, it's completely useless, obviously, but in a backyard situation, I think they're pretty cool. I mean, they leave huge holes, and it's interesting. And I don't know how accurate they are down to the precise temperature, but I don't think it really matters too much. So I think it's cool. It'd be interesting to see where they are in 3 or 4 years. I hope they get smaller. That's what I hope, because right now I wouldn't use them just because, God, they just gouge meat.
Doug, you go first. John can follow up. How accurate are the measurements once they're inserted?
Actually, they are pretty accurate. You've got to insert it a certain distance in order for it to be accurate, but not to be used in competition is an incorrect statement, Rusty. I am going to use them on my briskets this weekend. Just because you have a cannonball in your brisket, it doesn't really matter. So especially if it's in the point. So, but I actually tell people to use the Meter rather than the inserted probes that go in, because you need to know what those are always off. If I can just say, they're 5-10 degrees off, so it could be higher, lower, etc. I trust the Meter. It's much more accurate. It's within a degree or two of my Thermopin 1 or the older MK4 or whatever. So they're within a degree or two. So I actually like it. In fact, Traeger had sent me 3 of them. I gave two of them away for Christmas gifts. I kept one, and I decided I needed another, so I bought one.
Wow. John, your thoughts on accuracy?
I find all of the probes in general these days very accurate, both cabled and these wireless sticks, either thermistor or thermocouple. They are extremely accurate. And these wireless products are no exception to that. I think they're spot on accuracy. I can't speak to the ambient temperature side of that. While it does measure accuracy, I still have an issue with the distance it is away from the meat. So I am not convinced yet that ambient reads accurately.
According to Barbecue Whisperer on twitch.tv/BBQ Central Show, the Meter Plus has been great for SCA cooks as well. He's using them the last couple weeks in steak cooks. So that's Barbecue Whisperer over on Twitch weighing in. Part 2 of this question: will we see a time where the table stakes of remote thermometers is truly wireless, meaning Wi-Fi connected to allow roaming wherever you have a cell signal? In other words, put it in, catch a plane, fly to Italy, get your cell signal, and see exactly what's happening in Cleveland or Utah or Texas or Michigan with no problem. Rusty, do you see that happening at some point?
100%. I think that will definitely happen, and that's what I'm hoping for. You know, in the evolution of this, I think that is the end evolution. You know, smaller probes, obviously, but the ability to literally check your meat wherever you are, especially in Italy. Because man, last time I was in Italy, I was like, "What the hell's my?" I was wondering where my brisket was, and it was, you know, I couldn't get to it. So,
John,
that would be nice.
I want to clarify the question a little bit. Products have wireless bridges now to have that service available, but it's a standalone unit outside of the cooker. So if your question is will they be able to incorporate all that into a 6mm by 6-inch, excuse me for mixing the measurements, into a thing, it's going to take a long time, I think, for the wireless to become that miniature. But with a wireless bridge, it does exist now. So, but standalone, I think we're a ways away from that micro technology.
Well, is the bridge working that well? Does it really? So for instance, with the Fireboard, and I know it's not necessarily the same, but you know, that control unit, I assume, is its own bridge. It's connecting to my local area network. I'm running cabled probes into the meat, and it connects to my Wi-Fi. I can go wherever I want in the country and monitor what's going on in that book, also from my computer. Will we have that kind of connectivity? You're saying we have it now, but is it really just as good as the Fireboard is?
No. And keep in mind, my tests are 2-3 years old, and I'm about to start into this new series of testing. All of the Wi-Fi bridges that I've ever touched from these units are complicated. It's cumbersome. It's like when we first got Wi-Fi, period. It didn't work at all or hardly. So, no, comparing any of these units to the Fireboard, it's just not there yet. They're not even in the same league.
So, even if there is a bridge, do you think we get to a point where you have a Fireboard experience, but it's just wireless?
Yes, at some point we will get there. If people keep having demand for these things, we'll see what I don't see what competition is doing to it, and what Traeger decides, and who they decide to sue to stop them. We'll see what happens with that.
Doug, your thoughts?
Nice lead in, John. Thanks. The Traegers have it right now, but it's through a wireless cord and temperature probe that goes into your meat. And you can control the temperature. You can monitor the temperature when you're at Home Depot, the grocery store, etc. So, in that sense, is it wireless? I mean, it has the ability to control it when I go to Italy and have a good pasta meal, and then fly back, and when I'm on the plane and use American Airlines GoGo and their internet, I can put my grill to keep warm when my brisket's done. But again, they are within a certain degree. You need to calibrate those thermometers as they're connected to the grill. I found that sometimes they're right on, sometimes they're off by 5 degrees. But if I know if it's off by 5 degrees, I know that, and then I can just plan accordingly.
I think this is where the next evolution of remote thermometering is going to be. You hear people use the meter or the Yumly. I'm going to have a guy on in an upcoming show from Combustion.inc who has wireless thermometers, not Wi-Fi though, but it looks to be promising. So I think it continues to move that way. I guess my continued litmus test on legitimacy here is what is Traeger going to do with the meter? Number one. And then number two, if Fireboard isn't doing something without wires, I'm not buying the legitimacy of this whole thing as a market yet. Once they move into that arena, or they start at least talking about it. But the constant refrain from Ted Conrad at Fireboard is, it just doesn't make sense. There's a lot of electronics and shit that has to go into the tube. How expensive is it going to be if something craps out? You get a $15 probe off the Fireboard website right now, but you're probably going to be looking at $55 or $60 to replace one of those wireless thermometers. So to me, there appears to be still hurdles or barriers to entry for the legitimate player in the game to want to jump in. And until they do it, I'm not necessarily buying in. But I think this is where ultimately it's going to go. I just don't know how long it's going to get there. And it has to perform just like the Fireboard is performing on your phone or on your computer with that walk-away ability. I don't mind having a secondary piece or this bridge, but it's got to work. And it's got to work really well in order for this whole thing to just take off and be whatever the new normal is now, like it is for wired. So those are our thoughts on where we're at remote and wireless thermometering at the moment. Question number 2, or topic number 2 here. I thought that we were going to see 2 players in the thermostatically controlled gas grill market by this segment here of the Embedded Correspondents. However, there is still only one, that being the Charbroil Cruise. There have been mixed thoughts on the popularity for thermostatically controlled gas grills. I thought there was going to be universal love. Meathead called the sea change, but the following week, Jess Pryles was tepid at best, and some other folks have been a little poo-poo-y on where the ultimate popularity of something like this might actually hit the market. So, Rusty, in your opinion, where do you see popularity for thermostatically controlled gas grills as they hit the market?
I don't think it's going to be a sea change at all. It'll be cool. Like someone like me who's on the fence, of getting one in the first place, I might consider like coming, into the fold a little bit sooner. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. It just might be one of those things where someone's looking for a gas grill and go, oh, that one's cool. I don't think we're going to go seek it out and go, hell yeah, let's go get that thermally controlled, unit. Cause I don't know. I don't really see gas grills, surging in popularity. And I don't think a lot of people use them as much as they used to. And I don't think new technology is going to change that.
John, your thoughts?
Oh, man, you got to take a look at some market numbers if you don't think people are using gas grills. It's still dominating the world and will continue to do so for a very long time. And that said, I think this product is not for any of us or anyone that's listening to my voice right now. I don't think it's its target market. It's not for us. It's for, hey, I bought a sous vide. And then that became us. Hey, I bought an air fryer. It's for the people that want the combo toaster oven, sous vide air fryer thing all in one. It's a whole different market. I don't see it being a barbecue and grilling market. I see it being home people. They want to start their own maybe social media thing. It's not easier than a pellet grill. It's the person who buys a $137 Charbroil grill and then decides they want to upgrade. I don't think it's for a barbecue and grilling person at all. I think they're chasing a whole new world.
Doug.
I mean, thermostatically controlled. Okay, you dial in a temperature. Don't you do that when you put it on low, medium, or high anyway? And where is the temperature being measured? So I think they're going after, it's more of a marketing thing than it is anything else. When we have a gas grill, we know that the temperature on the lid is a certain temperature. We know what it is at the grate because we research it. The average consumer probably doesn't. So maybe it appeals to someone like that. Otherwise, to me, it's a little duplicative and really not necessary because you know what the temperature difference is. And once you dial a gas grill in, you don't need to really adjust it. You're not adjusting it a lot when you're grilling. So I just think it's a market that's really not there unless it's more of a marketing ploy to get more people to use it.
I agree with John on the first part of this. I think that for those of us that are within this industry that are live fire lovers, we have multiple cookers already. It's nothing that's going to appeal to us unless we're just suffering from multiple cooker syndrome. And it's just going to be another one that we add to the backyard to say that we have one that does something like this. Number one. Number two, I do think that they're going after a market that might be a little fearful of live fire cooking, man or woman or whatever. Maybe they just haven't had the desire or feel safe enough to deal with something outside of being able to dial in a specific temperature. Well, this would allow them to come in, feel a little bit safer. So now they can say, well, I can dial in a grill at 450 degrees or 600 degrees or whatever in between. I don't know if that really is something that they can achieve. I don't know if I'm really achieving that on my gas grill anyway, but maybe it makes them feel safer or a little bit more in control, so it allows more people to enter in that haven't gotten in before. Where I see this maybe not taking off, this was almost kind of tried a year, or was it a year and a half ago, with something called the Spark Grill. Spark Grill was not a huge grill size-wise. It was thermostatically controlled, kind of. No, it was thermostatically controlled, but it wasn't gas. This was run off a proprietary charcoal brick. And you put it in, it was already soaked in some kind of accelerant, and you hit the button, and away it went, and you were supposed to get predetermined cook times, predetermined temperatures. There was going to be all these other flavors. Well, where the hell is that thing now? Like, nowhere.
Get that big stuff out of here.
If that was going to be the easiest point of entry into charcoal grills, thermostatically controlled gas grills is even easier than the brick was going to be. And I think that thing never took off at all. At least it never made any more noise than me having the CEO on the show and talking a little bit about it and never hearing about it again. That's my concern. We'll hear about it, and this will all be proven out over the course of the summer and into the fall once that charbroil thing hits the market. If people are actually buying it, if people are rave reviewing it on Facebook, just like people were taking to Facebook to crap all over the smoke fire when it came out a couple years ago. If the opposite is happening for the charbroil thermostatically controlled gas grill, then you might see a little bit more momentum built. Where I thought that maybe this would be a sea chain of sorts, as Meat had mentioned, I've backed off my enthusiasm for this. Here, last question, and we'll call it an evening here, gentlemen. McDonald's has expanded its experiment with the McPlant burger, which is created in partnership with Beyond Meat. Thoughts on this overall? Has the hate of plant-based meat subsided? Rusty, go.
I certainly hope so, because I got to say those Impossible Whoppers are one of my favorites, and I have made a smash burger out of the Impossible meat, and it was better than, I'm not going to say the brand of meat, but it was a really good brand of meat. It was better, and they're delicious and they're good, and I love them, and I hope they continue to do it because I think it's great. That
Rusty, you got to name the meat now. I mean, real meat versus plant meat. You got to name it.
Isn't that the rule? No names.
Better than Bubba's not really saying much.
Daniel Vaughn on this show said we are courageous on this show, but only this show.
Yeah, he's a journalist. He has to be. I'm just a normal everyday gentleman.
Yes, rule number one on the show: no names, please. All right, Doug.
I live in the nation of Texas that we are going to succeed very soon. Of course,
Still?
The hatred. Yeah, still, even with the faulty electric grid. But the hate of plant-based meat is, even though in Austin is growing, what is it? In the lab, they're growing meat or something like that. Yeah, there's still a hatred of plant-based meat. I don't think I've even tried it other than one time.
Is it becoming more accessible in these mainstream places, more appealing to you, or no?
Truthfully, I've heard of the plant-based stuff on this show more than I have, probably 5 times more than I have even in the store or anywhere around. So yeah, I know Burger King has it, and I've seen the commercials and stuff like that. But the only time I hear about this kind of stuff is on the show.
Well, I think that's a firm indicator to both Impossible and Beyond that they should be partnering with the show, because they're hearing about it 5 times more than anywhere else on the show, and that's a world championship pitmaster right there. John, your thoughts on the plant-based?
I'll say it for Rusty. Impossible beats the shit out of Beyond. It just does. It's a better product, tastes better. Has hate subsided? No, I don't think it has. And I don't really care one way or the other. Beyond totally dominates the market where I live. They have a lot of different products. You can do a lot of different stuff. I try them all, not because I give a shit, just because I'm in the barbecue and grilling kind of world. So I want to, have firsthand knowledge of what the product is. Is it good? Is it not good? I don't care if there's 8,472 ingredients in it. Read a box of anything in your house. How many ingredients are in a box of cornflakes? I hope the hate subsides and we just let it go. I'm not a big lover. I don't care. I like meat. I'm not against Beyond Meat. So I hope the hate does subside. It's not going away. And we'll see what happens this year.
We have talked on this show, as Doug had mentioned, perhaps ad nauseum, as I'm learning, about plant-based meat. We've had America's Butcher on the show talking about plant-based meat. We've had a number of other folks that are in the plant-based meat business talking about plant-based meat. And this has gone on year after year after year after year. Well, guess what? Doesn't matter if the hate continues to grow. The overwhelming majority of the statistical data is showing this is 100% accepted. It's here. Hate all you want. It's not going away. Big commercial places like fast food, your favorite restaurant is probably using it. Chipotle is making plant-based chorizo, some other stuff that they're doing commercials on. So plant-based is here to stay, number one. But number two, and more importantly, I'm not against it. I love options. Variety is what, Rusty? The spice of life. But if it's not healthier, then why in the fuck am I going to not eat just meat? If it's not doing me any better, as John said, there's 847,000 ingredients on the recipe list for Impossible and Beyond Meat. If it's not healthier for me, then why am I not just going to eat regular meat? I'm not a vegetarian. I don't claim to be one, or vegan, or meat hater, or PETA friendly, or anything like that. If it's not better for me, I'm just going to eat the goddamn meat, and that's just going to be it because I like it. But if that's not you, you have plenty of other options now. Good for you. It's all over the grocery stores, and I love you for it. I would like a healthier option, and it's not that bean shit. I would like Beyond Burger to be better for me, but it's not. So if Beyond Burger or Impossible Burger can make something that's better for me than meat, I'll convert. I'll do it right here on the show. I'll be 100% plant-based eating because it's better for me and it tastes like meat. But it's not, so fuck off.
Get that big stuff out of here.
And that's going to do it for the Embedded Correspondents segment this month. John, anything to promote before I let you out tonight?
No, man, that was a classic. I'm putting that down in the rant log. That's beautiful. I'm good, everybody. Thanks so much.
Rusty, anything to promote on the way out?
Yeah, check out the Pitmasters podcast on anywhere you listen to podcasts.
And Doug, anything promoting on the way out?
I am teaching a Traeger class on February 17th, and I want to promote John's Do. He looks good.
Oh, yes.
Clean and tight.
Sexy.
He looks clean and tight. And that was a rant for the ages. So
somebody give me a hell yeah.
Give me a hell yeah.
That's right. Give me a hell yeah.
Give me a hell yeah.
All right. There they are. The fourth Tuesday of the month in the second hour brings the vaunted Embedded Correspondents. And away they go. We will see them in the end of February. We'll get everybody's recap of Love Month in February as well. So, guys, make sure you're taking notes so we can get all of those sensual moments that you shared mid-February. Oh, yeah. Come on, honey. I got this thermostatically controlled gas grill. You can set it to 350. Oh, yeah. Or, if you want, you can crank it up to really hot, searing hot, where you can seal in those natural juices. Oh, yeah. All right. Anyway, let's go ahead and make tracks to get out of here. We don't need that. And we don't need that. And just go. All the way back in the first hour, we talked with the officially unofficial trademark and copyright lawyer of the Barbecue Central show, Suzann Moskowitz, the Moskowitz Firm. MoskowitzFirm.com, her website, or keeptm.com if you would like an easier way to get to her website. She'll talk to you all about trademarking and copyright protection if you need it. Or she can tell you if you need it. You can ask her some questions. After Suzann, we talked with Derrick Riches, DerrickRiches.com. We talked about his thoughts on the new Genesis line relaunch. Talked a little Traeger stuff, and his book is doing very well. So if you need a new cookbook from the barbecue side, go take a look at that and order one up. Second hour, it was John Solberg. It was Doug Scheiding. It was Rusty Monson. Michigan, Texas, and Utah effectively. And not only effectively, but whatever they call it. What do you call it? I don't know. Can't remember. Anyway, English is failing me at this moment as we're closing out the show. Respectively is what I meant to say. Look for them on the fourth Tuesday of the month in the second hour for another Embedded Correspondence next Friday. So how do I always leave you? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. This is your program host and proud U.S. American Greg Rempe. Good night now.
It's Sam the Cooking Guy, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Some call him a fool, some even call him a douchebag. But I say Greg Rempe is the greatest thing to happen to barbecue since cavemen.